We're going to go through 2.2F using inputs to control outputs. So the first thing you should always do is double check the rubric. And what you're going to be graded on is your file management. So make a copy of the document and make sure you save it in your output folder. You're going to attach the file to Google Classroom. As you go through the whole exercise, you're going to highlight some pieces that are important so I know that you've been reading the document. You're going to make sure that you're accurately and completely answering everything you need to answer. If you're working with someone, that you're going to share the work or you're going to work in the larger group. And comments, you're adding comments to your code. So that way, when you go back to use the code later on, you'll remember what it was used for so you can reuse your code. All right, so the first thing is we're reusing this code. So we're taking the digital pin. So this code right here, forever, is going to turn a pin on, wait for 0.3 of a second, and then turn it off. And I want you to notice that this is in a forever loop, and we are actually going to be taking it out of the forever loop so that we can use it for our purposes. The other thing I want you to notice is that it's 0.3 of a second, so it's 0.3 seconds, and that's because 1 millisecond is equal to 1 second. So if you want it to go faster or slower, you need to adjust that number. So I've made 2 changes. You only needed to do a button change. I did a shake change too, because again, we're using input, so I wanted to try 2 different types of input. So I did on shake, I had to put in a repeat that's going 20 times, and on button A, I'm only repeating it 10 times. So you can see on the shake, I have it go for 0.5 second on and 0.5 second off. And for this one, I'm keeping it at the 300. So this code was the same code as before. So the only numbers I adjusted was here. And so the input for here is on the shake or the button A. And if you're curious what the output is, well, obviously that is the light. And that's the code right there that we are causing the light to turn on and to turn off. And remember, you need to have that repeat block, because if you don't repeat, it's only going to happen 1 time. Before, when it was in the forever loop, you'd see it a lot because it would just keep going on and off, on and off, on and off. This isn't going to go on and off unless you have it repeat a certain amount of time. So use the loop from the loop drawer. And this is a video to go through exactly how to wire. So I have my code already modified. I did that first and I've downloaded it. So now I'm going to attach. So I have the double alligator wires, and I know that I need to, for the output, I need to have it plugged into one of the pins, and my code says pin 0. So that's why I have yellow for pin 0. And the other side needs to go into ground. And so I'm using the black cord for that. So I have the other 2 alligator clips, and in the directions, they're having you use the conductive thread. I don't have conductive thread with me. So what I'm doing instead is I'm just clamping, and I'm making sure that I know which side is positive and negative. So I'm switching this over. So my positive side is over here. So that's going to be this side. So that's the side that I have to attach. That's going to the pin. So pin 0 is there, and then the ground goes to the negative side. And maybe you guys can see it better than I can, but I have to switch to the other side in order to see the positive and the negative, even though I know it is on this side as well. Okay, so my code modifications, I did actually 2. So I did a shake. So if I shake it, it's going to flash, and it's going to flash 0.5 second on, 0.5 second off. So that's what you're seeing there. And then the other modification that I did is I wanted the other input to be a button. So I did, which is what the directions say, so you don't need to have the shake. But if I press button A, it's going to be faster. It's going to actually go 10 times. Now, if you forgot to put your loop in there, then you might see that it only will flash once. So you need to have a loop in order to have it flash multiple times, so that way you can tell that it's flashing. So that's what I did for this one. And if you didn't want to use your LED board, then that's okay. You can actually use a regular LED. And remember, you have to look at the leg length, because if you do it on the wrong side, it's not going to work. So this one, you can see one leg is longer than the other. This is my long leg, and which is the positive side. So I'm going to put one clip on the positive side. I'm going to splay the legs a little bit so that my wires don't touch, and I'm going to clip on this side. And then the same thing, I'm going to give it a test once I get it in there. And I'm just going to test it on button A, and you should see that fast blink. So the next option, once you do that, is you're going to go through and you're going to start adding so that we can add in some sound using the buzzer. So the first thing you need to do is click on Advanced. Then you need to click on the Pins button, or Pins drawer. Then you have to click on More underneath it. So you're not going to find what you need unless you click underneath at that More one. And then finally, you're going to scroll down a little bit and you're going to find the Analog Set Pitch pin. And that's the one you're going to need. And this is me right here. I have the analog pitch pin, and I know some of you are great with music. I happen to not know how to play any music at all, so I actually did a search online and I just searched simple songs on piano. And so this is what I looked for, an illustration that sort of would show the keyboard, because I know when I click on any of these buttons, then I'm going to see a keyboard. And so this was helpful for me. And then it gives Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and it tells me what letters to press, and it also labels all the letters here. So I found this very helpful for me. And as I said, if you click here in the play tone, I matched up because this is labeled. I'm like, okay, that E I moused over, and then it says middle E here. So I know that this is where that is on the keyboard. So it's easy for me to go through now and to make Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So here is just the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And my pro tip for you is to add some rests in. If you don't add the rests in, it doesn't sound very good. It just goes from one to the next. And so you need this 1 beat rest, I think, after a line. So this is like the first line, and then I rest, and then I do the second line. And I added the rest in. I didn't do the rest of the song. I only did 2 lines of it. That was all I did. And I just right-clicked and duplicated the block, so I didn't have to do a lot of changes. And so just to remind you, the input here is the top. The input is once the button is pressed. When that happens, then the rest of my code is going to launch, and that's my output. So the output is the song, and I'm going to hear that on my speaker. So my code is still wired, and now I need to wire it to add in my speaker. And the first thing I need to do is I need to take a different colored double alligator clip, and I'm going to put this one on pin 1, and the other side I'm going to put on the positive side of my speaker. And now I'm going to take a 4th wire now, because I have 3 wires already attached. I'm going to put this one. This one's also going to go to ground. And so I'm going to put that there. And we already have something attached to ground. So what I have to do is I have to try and clip this onto the same pin somehow. Or if I can't do that, I can clip it onto the alligator clip, onto the black one. So we're going to see if this works. I have my code already downloaded. I had this in nice and tight before. Got it a little bit on the same. So we'll see. I'm having trouble. Move that one over a bit. Okay, we're going to see if that works. I think I have it clipped well. All right, so my A is should still light the light, which it does, so that's good. And now I'm going to do my B button to see if it makes the noise. And it totally does. It plays the full song for me. So I know I've done that one right. What we're going to do is we're going to modify the code so there's an A and B pressed button. So you can see now my code has my on shake. So you should have at least 3 things. If you wanted to add a shake one, you can. You don't have to. But I have button A, button B, and buttons A plus B. If you click buttons A plus B, I just blew it up over here. Then it's going to say you did it with an exclamation point and then end in a smiley face. The final change that I've made to my code is to make the A and B buttons scroll a message. And my message says you did it. So when I click those 2 buttons, I should see that you did it. I know it's a little upside down, but you can see that it is scrolling words. And then it's going to end with a smiley face. I want to make sure I see that. And now I am set. So now your last thing is to turn this in. Make sure you go through and you double check that you've met all of the requirements. So for me, my comments are the thing that I need to do at the end. You can see I have 1 block of code commented, and I need to go back in and adjust and comment this code before I turn it in. And I need to make sure that I have this new with all the comments on it that I publish that link and put it into my document.